Very much, Presiding Officer. I come to this debate agreeing with much of the thrust of the Labour motion. I too welcome the return of ScotRail to the public sector. Our public transport system should be just that, public. The current franchising system is not fit for purpose, and passengers across the UK have suffered from unreliable service and an infamously confusing pricing system. This has been caused by a diffuse network of private operators motivated by profit and devoid of a real accountability or transparency. So the return of ScotRail to public ownership is a significant step. A step which, despite the tone of the Labour contributions thus far, successive Labour governments at both UK and Scottish levels failed to take. Any country serious about meeting the challenges of climate emergency must be serious about public transport. The notorious Beeching report in the 1960s, commissioned by
Ms Adamson, could you stop just 1 second, please? There's far too much chattering going on. Let's have the courtesy of listening to Ms Adamson. Thank you. Please resume, Ms Adamson.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. The notorious Beeching report in the 1960s, commissioned by the Tories and with many proposals implemented by subsequent Labour governments, underestimated the social value of rail services. And now, decades on, we're faced with an environmental fallout of sweeping closures. The urgency of reinvesting in low-carbon transport has never been more apparent. So I would question why those Labour benches continue to oppose Scotland having full control over rail services. In government, Labour kept ScotRail in private hands. In opposition, they refused to call for the full powers over rail services, including Network Rail. Powers which would give us a truly integrated public rail service accountable to this Parliament and the people of Scotland. Further, Labour offers no serious proposals for how we would pay for their demands without these powers, while operating within our fixed budget. Meanwhile, the SNP government has demonstrated that it is serious about public transport and low-carbon travel. Our party's record in government is in the motion for prosperity, but it bears repeating for my colleagues on the opposition benches. £1 billion to electrify 541 kilometres of track and improve infrastructure, benefiting more than 35 million passengers across Scotland. A record £4.85 billion allocated, including ongoing electrification and decarbonisation, and over £9 billion of investment by the Scottish Government since 2007, helping to reconnect 14 communities to the rail network, with 5 more to be reconnected in the next 3 years. And over £555 million to sustain services and jobs throughout the pandemic. And that's supporting the heroic efforts of our rail workers during these unprecedented times. But my own Motherwell and Wishaw constituency is benefiting from government funding. Significant Scottish Government investing has gone into upgrading the Motherwell train station. The redevelopments will see a transport hub created in the town and will be a huge boon to the local economy and attract wider investment. And I welcome the development of Cleland Station in the last session of the Parliament and the introduction of disability access at that station. And an investment goes wider than rail. It's a champion. The SNP government has been a champion of active travel, with investment going into active travel projects across North Lanarkshire, including in Craigneuk in my area. We have our own active travel strategy in conjunction with the Scottish Government, and prioritisation is with aid of government capital funding, working with North Lanarkshire to deliver fantastic initiatives like Social Track, which have been there to reclaim a derelict site in Wishaw, turn it into a pump track and encourage active travel across the area.
Ms Adamson, could you please conclude?
I look forward to
Ms Adamson,
Scottish
please conclude.
Thank you, Presiding Officer.
Thank you. We now move to closing speeches, and I call on